I want to talk about competency-based interviews. Competency-based interviews are increasingly being used as the main recruitment process for new positions. Public sector organisations, widespread, are using competency-based interviews. They've developed their own competency frameworks and they assess candidates against those. Increasingly now, we're now seeing it coming into private sector organisations as well. They're a very different type of interview than candidates have previously been used to, but actually they're a really good process that candidates can prepare for and can really perform very well in that competency interview environment. The theory behind competency-based interviews is that when we interview a candidate against some agreed criteria and our questions are specifically focused on getting them to talk about real experiences about where they've performed against these criteria, that this is a much more effective way of assessing candidates' capability. Research has shown that competency-based interviews are 5 times more effective in making the right appointments at interviews. The difference with competency-based interviews is the questions. When you're applying for a position, on your application form, on the person specification, there will be listed a number of criteria that you're going to be assessed against. And when you arrive at interview, the types of questions you're going to be asked are going to be very different from you previously being asked. Previously, for example, on communication, you might be asked, tell us about your communication skills. In a competency-based interview, you will be asked, please give us a specific time when you communicated exceptionally well. You're required to give a specific example, not to talk in general, but to give a specific example. So when you're preparing for a competency-based interview, the first thing you need to do is you need to identify the competencies of the role. And this information will be on the job pack, it'll be on the person's specification. So you need to identify what those competencies are, and then you need to start drawing back from previous experience and thinking about what examples you can deliver an interview that will demonstrate those competencies. So what's your example on teamwork, on leadership, on strategic thinking, on managing in a difficult situation? These are the type of examples that you need to start to work on in terms of preparation for your interview. Now there's a way that you can structure that most effectively, and that's by using share as a structure. So when we talk about share, we're talking about 5 things. We're talking about, firstly, you describing the situation. So what was the situation when you demonstrated effective teamwork? H is the hindrance. What were the challenges? It's really important when you give your competency-based answers that you tell them about the challenges. If you don't tell them about the challenges in the example, then they're not going to know how good you were in terms of the results you achieved at the end. Then you talk about the action. What action did you take? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You list the action you took to demonstrate that good teamwork. The R in share is the result. What was the result? What did you achieve from that example? And the E in share is evaluation. What did you learn? It's really important to demonstrate your learning because it's your learning that you will bring to this position. That's what they'll be interested in. When you get into your interview situation and you have all your examples prepared in the share model, it can be really useful, again, to have a very simple structure on answering these types of questions. Remember the rule of 3. We like a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's a logical way to deliver information. So with your competency-based answer, a very simple structure you can use is, for example, your panel asks you a question. Tell us about a time when you communicated a challenging message. So your introduction is, I realise that communication is going to be really important in this particular role. And I've had many experiences in previous roles where I've had to communicate challenging messages to individuals and teams. But let me tell you about this one specific time. You've introduced. Now you use your share example. So you take them through your share example on communication. You talk about the situation, the hindrance, the challenges, the action, the result, and the evaluation. When you finish delivering your share, you then move on to your conclusion. And what can be really useful to do in your conclusion is to summarise 3 points that make you an exceptional communicator in challenging situations. So in your ending piece, in summary, I know that this example demonstrates my strengths in communicating in challenging circumstances. And I know what makes me a good communicator in these types of situations is that I take on board all the team's needs, I listen very carefully to concerns and ideas, and then I evaluate the effect of communication. So we've got our beginning, our middle, and the end. This is how we approach competency-based questions.